Previously on Two Witnesses Live.
Going nowhere except down. We were the laughing stock all over the world. And now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're number one everywhere, anywhere in the world. And that's all they're talking about is our country. 1 year ago it was a dead country. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world.
1 year ago it was a dead country, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. So just to bring you back to what we talked about last time on the Two Witnesses Live, Revelation 13. Then I stood on the sand of the sea, which we know to be the people. And I saw a beast rising up out of the sea. A beast, it's funny. We often think that beast is scary, right? That's a scary word. Beast is something that's ravenous and large and giant. A beast is just like an animal, right? 4 legs, usually, lives out in the woods, typically wild. Maybe you think of a bear or a leopard or a lion. After Christ returns, sounds like we might have lions as pets. But anyway, we get this negative idea that this beast rising up out of the sea is something evil. I think that's because there's so many people with this end time narrative that have painted this as the Antichrist that it's just like negative. And I think we have to unlearn from that mentality so that we can see more clearly. Granted, there's a lot of stuff that happens here that's clearly satanic and devilish, but let's read this with a mind that's less cluttered. And I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, it's kind of scary. And on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like a bear, like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. Okay, I get why people think this might be the Antichrist, because you're personifying a beast and giving it a crown and authority. But we know that in Scripture, typically a beast is a system of governance, right? It's a system of control. Kingdoms are called beasts. Governments are called beasts. And even later on in Revelation 17, when it's given more insight into what the beast is, it's clearly a 7 kingdoms, 7 mountains. But there's a lot that goes into that Revelation 17. We'll probably talk more about that in a more dedicated video. But for today, we're focusing on the head wound, because that's what we talked about last time on Two Witnesses Live. So the 7 heads is interesting. So anyway, the reason I was saying about let's not be afraid of the beast is because if you're thinking of it as an evil person, as the devil or Satan, let's be real, or the Antichrist, then you miss the fact that it could be something other than that, right? Does that make sense? Am I making sense, or am I just talking in circles here? You have the beast, which is typically a system of governance, all right? The 7 heads are probably countries. I made a little bit of a case for this yesterday. 7 heads, probably countries, probably the G7, because I can't think of any. I'm not aware of anything else that's a group of 7 that fits this description. The G7 does actually fit this description. Having 7 heads and 10 horns. Horns typically represents power, seats of power. And on his horns, 10 crowns. Crowns typically represent an office of some kind, like a king or a prime minister or a president. 10 crowns. And on his heads, a blasphemous name. I don't know what the blasphemous name is. Like I said, I don't have all the answers to this, but I've been thinking about it a lot. I could guess that the blasphemous name is probably something along the lines of God or creator, but in context of the group of 7, there's some assumptions that can be made. The sea being very likely democracies, where this beast, this system of governance, is made up of democracies by the people for the people, voting leaders and basically horns and basically voting horns into the crowns. That's a neat way of putting it, right? And on his head's a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. Don't know what that means. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot there's a lot that's been taught about that. There's there's a statue in New York that some say represent this beast. Don't know if that's true. There's also a lot of meaning behind these particular animals, beside the point for today's video. Now, the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power. Now, Revelation 12 was right before this one. The dragon very likely is referring back to Revelation 12, this about the dragon. There's a bunch in there about the dragon. Right? So you got the dragon here. Behold, a great fiery red dragon having seven heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his heads. There's some 10 horns. Yeah, so this is a little bit different than the beast from the sea. Just because something is similar doesn't mean it's identical. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to earth, and the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. She bore a male child who was to rule all nations. And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was their place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan. So very likely who gives the beast its power. So back over here, the dragon gave him his power. So this beast, right? His throne and great authority. You know, this reminds me, when I read about the serpent of old, it reminds me of Adam and Eve in the garden and Cain being the firstborn after the fall. And he built the cities, right? First system of governance, as far as I'm aware. The first beast for all intents and purposes. So is there something like that that has to do with that? That, when the serpent deceived Adam and Eve, and he was given the power and authority over the kingdoms to rule this world, does it just go back to the garden? Is that what this is? Is this a representation of one of those beasts? This beast in particular is, made up of a democracy. I mean, we might as well read why I keep saying that, just so you don't have to take my word for it. All right. So the woman on the scarlet beasts. Then he said to me, the waters which you saw where the harlot sits are peoples, multitude, nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God has put it in their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind. Anyway, there you go. See, that's where I keep getting the peoples, nations, tongues. So the people, that's what the sea is. It's made up of the people, for the people, by the people. And it just so happens that all the members of the group of 7, I don't know if I could tell you off the top of my head who they are. It's United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, France, and one other one. Japan. And I saw one of his, so the power gave him his authority, his throne, and the dragon gave him his power. So this group of 7. Oh, there was something that I discovered about the group of 7. These particular nations control over 60% of the worldwide wealth. That's an interesting point. a fact. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. So they have, as a governing body, great influence over the world. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded. It's even today, Trump was saying, he was speaking again from the streets of Washington, D.C. He had brought the police who were helping to clean up the city, hamburgers and pizza. And again, he had mentioned it again that the United States under Joe Biden had been dead. It was a dead country. And now it's the hottest country in the world. So you have, and I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. I used to think that Trump was the head wound. Now I think that he is the one who healed the head wound, right? And all the world marveled and followed the beasts. You know, I think that's probably true right now. Is the world is so awestruck by Trump as a real leader that they're following his lead. He's doing things that no leader has ever done before. He's fixing things. And I know so many people are tempted to say, see, he's the Antichrist because we told you he was going to be charming. We told you that people were going to love him. We told you that he was, going to speak, be pompous and speak blasphemous words. Well, he hasn't blasphemed God yet. Not that I've seen. Quite the opposite. But he's not even one of the heads. He's technically one of the horns. So the question is he the little horn? I don't think so. There's so much negativity about the end time events with this Antichrist narrative that it's so hard that it clouds the issues. And it just the ambiguity of it all, where people just want to in general say, see, the beast is the Antichrist. Well, no, it's not. The beast is likely a group of 7 countries, and the head wound is likely the United States under the Biden administration, because that's where you had the pandemic, the Biden administration, the vaccine, and then you had something which I don't think we've seen the full effect of, is the United States yoking together with the United Kingdom, basically combining their power and their strength, which I don't think it's any coincidence that both of them are members of the group of 7. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world marveled and followed the beast. So they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beasts. Isn't that interesting? So people are worshiping Satan and the devil, that serpent of old, who gave authority to the beast. Who is doing that right now? Worship's an interesting word. Typically it means to kiss the hand, to bow down to yield to as they higher authority. So they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like the beast, who is able to make war with him. Now, this is the beast here, not the United States. So the beast here, remember, is the group of 7. So, and they worshipped the group of 7, which I don't really see that where people are, worshiping the group of 7. That's kind of a question mark in my mind. Who is like the beast, who is able to make war with him? However, I do think it is true that as the G7, nobody would dare make war against anyone in the membership of the group of 7 because they have each other's back. So that would be true, who is able to make war with them, which is why I think is one of the things that is enabling Trump to actually have leverage to enforce these peace agreements, or at least attempt to. Because anybody who would come against the United States would have to deal with all the other 6 in the groups. And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Again, this is the beast. and he was given a mouth speaking great things. So this is the beast, not specifically one of the horns, at least not here. And blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. No, you know what's interesting about that 42 months is if we go back here to Revelation 12 and look at the serpent persecuting the woman. Now, when the dragon saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the presence of the serpent. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman. I believe that this could be the Aloxa flood. That might be why it's named that way. And the woman in this could very well be Israel, because Israel has been referred to as a woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. What's so interesting about that Aloxa flood is it was supposed to be 10 times worse. But certain things took place that reduced it down to only Hamas. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood. There you go. So instead of 10 times worse, it was only 1 time, which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring. I think this is the persecution of the saints right here, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Christ. Well, the Jews are definitely keeping the commandments of God, very much so. And the Christians have the testimony of Christ. That could very well be part of the 2 witnesses. Very likely 2 of the churches, Smyrna and Philadelphia. Smyrna is the church under crushing pressure, which is very true of the Jews. They're always under pressure. They've been under pressure for 4,000 years, ever since they were enslaved in Egypt, in bondage in Egypt. And Christians, Jews don't have the testimony of Jesus Christ. That would be the Christians. So then we come back over here. And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. I almost wonder if this isn't the woke movement. You know, Jesus in Matthew 24 told us that, all the different things that were going to happen. Let's just go remind ourselves of that. Excuse me. And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ." Excuse me. The stupid tickle. Ever since the fair, breathing in all that dust has not cleared out of my lungs yet. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Check. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. Okay. But the end is not yet, for nation will rise against nation. Check. Kingdom against kingdom. Check. And there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. Check, check, check. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. Yes, they've been going on for quite some time now. Probably can say we're no longer in the beginning of sorrows. We're well in the middle and into them. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you. That's definitely happening in places. Just ask Ukraine and Russia, who are losing 7,000 to 10,000 people a week. That's a large number of people. Likewise with Israel and Palestine and Gaza and all that which is going on over there. And you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Yep. There's, you ever watch Charlie Kirk? Change my mind. This woke movement, man, it really reared its head, during the lockdowns. Like people were so radicalized during that period of time. Then many false prophets, and then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. It feels like we're kind of coming out of that to a degree. thanks to the head being healed, I think. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. Yeah. I almost wonder if that's not all part of the head wound. Like the like homelessness epidemic was massive. We were trying to figure out how we could help. And when we were trying to help, they were saying stop giving them, resources because they have access to resources, food stamps, clothes. Many of the places where they took donations and clothes would stop giving them to the homeless because they would just use them and toss them away. They were just cluttering the streets. But yeah, they were saying if you really want to help, go volunteer where they're actually coming for serious help. But he who endures to the end shall be saved, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end will come. Well, that's definitely happening. Um, the gospel is being preached in all nations as a witness. There you go. There's that word again. Ooh. Remind me to point out. I found something today about the two witnesses that's very curious. I don't know the answer to, and it's kind of got me going in circles in my mind trying to figure out what it means. Anyway, we'll circle back to that one. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is in the housetop not go down to take anything out of the house, and let him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days, and pray that your flight may not be in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. There's a couple of different ways to look at that. The end time narrative pretty much has it on lockdown on what they believe that this means. But this abomination of desolation. So the end time narrative is that, this is sacrificing pigs in the temple. But if you look at, I think it's Luke 21, it says that when Israel is surrounded, know that its desolation is near. That's the parallel to this. I think it's Luke 21. Matthew, it's either Mark. Yeah, it's Luke 21. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, then a lot of people like to also say that's the Antichrist when he goes into the temple and declares himself God. It's also called the abomination of desolation. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not go down. See, this sounds to me like the Aloxa flood, right? Because they were literally parachuting in to the festivals, and they were going into people's homes and listening to the plans on what that day was supposed to be like. And when I say 10 times worse, I mean it was intended to destroy the entire land of Israel all on that one day. I almost wonder if that's not what it means. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. Just speculation, just eisegesis on my part. I know end time people, those who study eschatology, like to say that, this means something else, and then they give their opinion. But since we're throwing out opinions, this does sound kind of like that Aloxa flood to me. For then there will be great tribulation. That could have been the start of the great tribulation. That was seal number 4 after all. I believe it was seal number 4. death followed by hell. So unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. That may have already happened. All right. Then if anyone says to you, look, here is Christ, or there, do not believe it. Speaking of, you may have noticed I snuck the word rapture into our title today. It's that time of year again. September is just around the corner. And, you know, you could set your watch by it. People are having dreams of, they're having their rapture dreams, their rapture visions. They're hearing from, you know, Jesus, God, and the angels that the rapture is coming. I fully expect this to be the look, here is Christ, or there, do not believe it. I think it's interesting, the festival of trumpets, because when it says no man knows the day or hour, that can be a reference to Rosh Hashanah, the festival of trumpets. And when the Bible says that at the last trump, the dead will be raised incorruptible, the last trump is the name of the last blow of the shofar during that festival. So I get why people think that is, you know, when the rapture will be. But you guys have seen the timeline. If we are truly in the 42 months and the 1,260 days where the two witnesses are prophesying, then we've got 1,000 days left, a little over 1,000 days left. So I don't think the rapture is going to happen in September. And if it if it does, and this is something that I need to take into account with my calculations, is we would need to subtract 1,260 days from the Festival of Trumpets to see where the start date was, because I believe it's my opinion. Yeah, I think it's my opinion now that if there is a rapture, it will be when the two witnesses are killed and lie dead in the street for 3.5 days. And then they're caught up, right? Because that's technically a rapture event when they're caught up. After 3.5 days, the two witnesses are caught up. Which, if the two witnesses are made up of, you know, leaders such as Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and also the two churches, the two groups with nothing to repent from, that could be a rapture time. That could be when all of those people are removed. Just eisegesis on my part, just speculation. Then if anyone says to you, look, here's Christ, or there, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you beforehand. And that's the point of looking for these things, right? A lot of people say, no man knows the day or hour. And then they get all, they go get all, irritated in the comments about how dare you look at, signs and seasons and days and years. The point of observing these and finding these anchor points and watching this stuff happen in real time, not only is it really exciting and a lot of fun and just something to do while we wait, as part of, the spreading the gospel, but it's literally the proof and the evidence as witnesses. This is actually part of the witnessing process. When you're observing what was told, what we were told was going to happen, when you are observing it, you are now a witness of those things. See, I have told you beforehand. It reminds me of John 14:29. He says the same thing. See, I have told you beforehand that you may know that I am who I say I am. Let's go there. That's John 14. I think it's in 29. These things I have spoken to you while being present with you, but the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all things that I said to you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, Neither let it be afraid. You have heard me say to you, I am going away and coming back to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice because I said, I am going to the Father, and my Father is greater than I. And now I have told you before it comes, that when it does come to pass, you may believe. That's the whole point of watching. I will no longer talk much with you, for the ruler of this world is coming, and he has nothing in me. That would be the dragon cast down to earth with his angels. But that the world may know that I love the Father, and as the Father gave me commandment, so I do. Arise, let us go from here. So that's the point of watching. It's not to know the day or hour. You know, these things are written for a reason. The details, the details about the 1,260 days. Why give that count if we're not meant to count? God doesn't do anything half-ass or without reason. Where were we? Therefore, if they say to you, look, he is in the desert, do not go out. Or look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For wherever the carcass is, there eagles will be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven. I think this is seal 6. So we haven't gotten to this point yet. We're still in this part. We're still in then if anyone says, do you look, here is Christ, or there, do not believe it, for false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. So come back down here immediately after the tribulation of those days. So there you go. I mean, that's kind of pointing to the 42 month period of time. Seal number 4, seal number 5 is the tribulation that's talked about here. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So there you go. So if there is a rapture, which is what this gathering together, looks like it's around seal 6. And which consequently is probably when the magnetic poles shift, because that would be why so if we go look at seal number 6, seal 6. I looked when he opened the 6th seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood. And the stars of heaven fell to earth, as a fig tree drops its late figs when it's shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it was rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. This could very likely be when the magnetic pole shifts, because that's what's going to happen. If you're looking up at the stars you see are going to go boop. The stars of heaven fell to earth. Satellites are probably going to fall out of the sky. Then the sky receded as a scroll and is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. Yeah, water's going to shift around on the planet, and your mountains and islands are going to, some are going to be moved out of their place. Some of them are going to become higher. Some of them are going to be submerged. If you've listened to Suspicious Observers, he talks about this quite regularly. He has a lot of materials on what the earth will look like after this shift. And suffice it to say, you probably want to be closer to the North America because it's going to be about down around the equator. Interesting thought here is the sun and the moon. So you cannot have a solar eclipse and a blood moon on the same day. So how else could that happen unless the earth rotated, because you could be looking at an eclipse, the Earth could rotate, and then that eclipse can become a sudden moon, could become a blood moon. Interesting, huh? Typically, solar eclipses and lunar eclipses are separated by 2 weeks. So they can't happen on the same day. Think about that. Potentially more evidence that that's when the Earth rotates. All right, so let's go back into 13. And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. I think we're in that 42-month period of time right now. Quite possibly the Great Tribulation. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. I think this is referring to the dragon. So they worship the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worship the beast, saying who's like it, who's able to make war with him, and he was given a mouth speaking great things. I don't know. It could be those 7. That could be why you have that woke movement. They're definitely speaking blasphemy. That's almost the definition of being woke. Blaspheming God, his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and authority was given to him. And authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. There you go. So let's leave that there. And let's move into our torment report. I thought I'd try something a little bit different today. I don't know how this is going to go, because this might take more than 3 to 5 minutes. I like Sal. I like the Grok summary because it's concise, and I have a tendency to talk too much. But let's try something different. I thought maybe we could just kind of go through the timelines and look at what these guys have posted to see if you like it better than the Sal summary, and to see if I can do it concisely enough. So let's start with our guy, Donald Trump. So an hour ago, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, there has not been a homicide in a week because of the presence of law enforcement. The president being out here today was an incredible inspiration to all those men and women. They were so happy to see the president. I don't want to play that because it's, time constraints. Out there in the streets, Trump to patrol D.C. with police, military as part of the crime. He did. He went out. He went out in the streets. He brought pizza, and he mentioned that America was dead again and has been made alive. All right. So he reposted, Trump gives officers a pep talk. Make Washington, D.C. great again. Yeah. You people are winners, and I just think it's such an honor to be with you. We're going to make Washington, D.C. great again.
You people are winners, and I just think it's such an honor to be with you, and we're going to make Washington, D.C. great again. We're making our country great again. The country is very close to being great. When they say it's the hottest country in the world, they mean it. And this capital is right now, after 4 days, 5 days, it's at a level that you haven't seen in a long time, and it's all because of you. So I want to thank you all very much. It's an honor to be with you, and we'll always be with you. We're going to be with you for as long as I'm around. You're going to be treated as nobody more important, and thank you all very much for being here. Thank you.
Three more years.
Doug, would you like to say something?
There you go. The crime numbers are way down. I just wanted to thank you. Okay, a lot of thanks. A great honor to visit some of the federal agents and the National Guard troops working to make Washington, D.C. safe again. Dustin Burrows is a true warrior for Republicans, as is doing a fantastic job as Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives. Thanks to Dustin's strong and effective leadership of the Texas House, the incredible people of Texas will have the opportunity to elect 5 more Republicans to Congress. thanks to the passage of their much more fair new map. A big win for Republicans in Texas and across the country. As Speaker, Dustin is fighting tirelessly to grow our economy, lower taxes, cut regulations, and promote Made in the USA. Advance American energy dominance by helping to keep the price of gasoline, oil, and all forms of energy very low, continue to secure our already secure border, champion school choice, support our military veterans, and defend our always under siege Second Amendment. Dustin Burrows has my complete and total endorsement for re-election as Speaker and to House District 83. He will never let you down. Let's see. He will never let you down. Yep, there you go. United States Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Too long to watch that.
All I do is win, no matter what.
Okay. He posted that. That is kind of good.
Got money on my mind, I can never get enough.
All I do is win. Oh, let's not read this whole thing. Totally victory in the fake New York State Attorney General Letitia James case. Oh, yeah, he won that. He was talking about that. So they awarded him over $550 million. It was a political witch hunt. So this is fire from your mouth. Anyone who attempts to kill the two witnesses must be killed in this way. So I think this is a result of that. They tried to attack him. They tried to take him down, and they're getting back what they put out. These were all political trials in an effort to destroy my viability as a presidential candidate before, during, and after the election. They were strongly coordinated with the Biden-Harris campaign and will go down in history as among the most corrupt cases ever brought. Yes. A great win for America. Schiff asking for help. Trump talking to Putin. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see. 15 hours ago, it is very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's company. It's like a great team in sports that has a fantastic defense, but is not allowed to play offense. There is no chance of winning. It is like that with Ukraine and Russia. Crooked and grossly incompetent. Joe Biden would never let Ukraine fight back, only defend. How did that work out? Regardless, this is a war that would have never happened if I were president. Zero chance. Interesting times ahead. And Putin did reiterate that when he was there. He did say that there were things that Joe Biden did that caused the war. And that had Donald Trump won, there would have never been any war. However, these things had to take place. I don't know why. I don't know why the pandemic had to happen. I don't know why the Biden administration had to happen. I don't know why the vaccine had to happen. I don't know why these SEALs did what they did. And, it's the Lamb who was opening them, right? But he did tell us beforehand, and we are here to witness them happening. All right. 16 hours ago, free Tina Peters, a brave and innocent patriot who has been tortured by crooked Colorado politicians, including the big mail-in ballot supporting the governor of the state. Let Tina Peters out of jail right now. She did nothing wrong except catching Democrats cheat in the election. She's an old woman and very sick. If not released, I'm going to take harsh measures. Good. Any California school district that doesn't adhere to our transgender policies will not be funded. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The great state of Missouri is now in. I'm not surprised. It is a great state with fabulous people. I won it all 3 times in a landslide. We're going to win the midterms in Missouri again, bigger and better than ever before. All right. Last one. Just like our southern border is now 100% secure, Washington, D.C. is safe again, and we have just begun the process. All right, there you go. What do you guys think? Do you like that better than Sal? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Do you like going through the timeline of the last 24 hours better? Or do you like listening to Sal's report? I like Sal a little bit more because less of a dry mouth. All righty. Let's go see Elon Musk. I had him up here. Let's do this. All right. Let us review both, but Sal is funny. He is funny. And we really need to, one of these days when I'm not eating up all the time reading scripture and stuff like that, we need to do a conspiracy Sal day, because that is funny and very enlightening. But not today. Today we got 15 more minutes, and let's use that looking at Elon here. Man, I was really struggling today with I was really thinking about, these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks. I almost wonder if we shouldn't be also looking for great content from people on YouTube who are shining as lights in this world. I was thinking about that candlesticks, because that's what the 7 churches are, right? In Revelation 2 and 3. We'll do that tomorrow. Maybe before we go into for our Sabbath, we'll be on early tomorrow. Probably 5 or 6. Probably 5. We'll go through Revelation 2 and 3 and look at the 7 churches, because they're called the 7 candlesticks, and a candlestick holds a light, and a light dispels darkness. And I think that's what we're doing. That's what I think Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing. They're dispelling darkness. But there's also a lot of people who, quote unquote, felt activated, sometime between, just in the recent years. A lot of people. I know I did. 2020, 2019, when I felt activated, like super passionate, so kind of went overboard, spent a lot of money on preparing for this great tribulation, which I misunderstood, which we might be in right now. But yeah, so that I might need to add that as a segment into, maybe we pick, 1 or 2 people, 1 or 2 videos or shorts or something like that, just to see the light that people are putting out. The other witnesses, the candlestick witnesses for the torment report. Because there are these YouTube channels are tormenting people. I think of like Officer Tatum and Charlie Kirk and Jordan Peterson. These YouTubers have gotten pretty big. Even Tim Pool. He's not specifically preaching the scripture, but he's bringing a lot of truth to the forefront, being a light in dark times. Very anti-woke. Anyway, let's look at Elon. So let's see. Made a video explaining the history of Black America. Wonder how long that is. That's an hour. I haven't watched that. But Elon did. He said it was thoughtful. Might have to watch that a little bit later. See, it's an easy prediction of where things are headed. Devices will just be edge nodes for AI inference, as bandwidth limitations prevent everything being done server side. Okay, so this is a technical post. It's an easy prediction of where things are headed. Prophets predict. All right, here we go. All right, so this post is XAI's long-term plan is to be an edge node running AI inference to generate pixel and audio. No more traditional OS or apps, but just an AI rendering everything directly. So there's been this talk about what AI looks like in the future, and we can already see with the generation of music. If you saw that video where I played the song that I'm working on, Breath of Life, you can generate music now very easily, and it is very good. It's a lot of fun. I mean, like, to be able to take an idea from concept to reality, 15 minutes or, a week, depending on how much you want to refine it, is amazing. The same can be said about videos. We're seeing people take Google VO 3 and they're generating these YouTube shorts, which are very entertaining. The Bigfoot. But I've also seen like people who are taking and they're making videos of like what it would be like in Jesus's day and age from a blogger's perspective. So they've got like, Mary, blogging. They've got, the disciples blogging, or not vlogging, doing their podcasts. So we're heading into this time where the tools are allowing us to generate content way faster than it's ever been possible before. It used to take, years in some cases to animate that kind of stuff. Then it was, computers came in, it became, months and weeks, to where it's getting shorter and shorter to where now it's minutes. And with Grok Imagine, you're able to turn a picture into a 3 to 15 second video with the click of a button and in mass. So it's getting faster and faster. So that's what's behind this. XAI's long-term plan is to be an edge node running AI inference to generate pixels and audio. In other words, everything will just be generated in real time. You want to watch a TV show, you'll just come up with the story that you want. So say you want to relive the, Noah's Ark. It will just, it'll read the texts, collect all the information and generate it. And you'll have a 2-hour movie on Noah's Ark. It'll generate the actors, it'll generate the voices, it'll generate the music, it'll fill in the gaps of the story, and you'll have Noah's Ark on demand. Same thing with video games. You want to play a video game to where, maybe it's like Animal Crossing, to where you want to spend time, planting a garden and decorating your house and meeting friends, rather than buying a game for your Nintendo Switch. You'll just tell the AI and it will just generate that game. And then, if your friends are online, you'll all join in. That's what this comment's referring to. That's where people are envisioning the future of content, is it will just be generated on demand. So it's an easy prediction of where things are headed. Devices will just be edge nodes for AI inference, as bandwidth limitations prevent everything being done server side. What else? Aiming for Sunday. So this is a rocket launch. I don't know if it's a launch or a landing. Grok is best at predicting the future, which is the best measure of intelligence, in my opinion. Grok 4 ranks number 1 in the Future X live benchmark for real-world future predictions. AI is a prediction engine. You guys have heard me say that many times before, but that's what AI is. It takes your prompt, your tokens, and it runs it against the database to predict what you want from that prompt. That's why you'll get different information back if you run the same prompt over and over again, because it generates percentages of what it thinks you want, and it just picks information differently. AI does not have a soul. So it's not thinking for itself as if it's going to try and escape the box and rule the world. All right, getting ready to launch Starship. Oh, this is what that's referring to. Maybe on Sunday. Super Heavy booster moved to launch pad at Starbase ahead of Starship's 10th flight test. First month as member of technical staff at XAI, I'm even more excited than day one. Teams moving at light speed, unlimited compute, zero bureaucracy, no goal, too ambitious, pushing the limits. Little rocket emoji. Long press any image on X to turn it into a video in about 17 seconds. Really? It doesn't work for me. Might have to be on a mobile device. Yeah, Annie is okay. Oh, there's a fly in here. Elon Musk, I wanted you. Let's see. Oh, this is funny.
Is there a worse publication on the face of the earth than the Wall Street Journal? I woun't use that to line up my cage for paratroopings. that newspaper is the worst newspaper in the world. If there's one newspaper that should be pro-capitalist, it's the one with Wall Street in the name, but it isn't. So I have the very lowest opinion of the Wall Street Journal. Absolute nonsense. And you clearly believe the tripe that you've read in those papers. Is there a worse?
Fire from the mouth. All right, we are almost to the done of the last. We're almost done with the last 24 hours here. Nothing groundbreaking. Grok is inevitable. Grok has really changed. Oh yeah, see what I was saying about generating video games in real time. I think this is something. Yeah, so he's just sitting here generating a video game. Pretty soon, this will just automatically happen behind the scenes. So he's just making Grand Theft Auto there. Oh, little bunnies. Yeah, so that's where AI is going. All right. Anything else? Cute. If Grok is going to help humanity, then I'll use it more and more. AI is obviously going to one-shot the human limbic system. That said, I predict counterintuitively that it will increase the birth rate. Really? Mark my words. Also, we're going to program it that way. Okay. I don't know how that's going to happen. Wait until you see Grok 5. I think it's going to one shot. I think has a shot at being true. Oh, true artificial general intelligence. Haven't felt that about anything before. Breaking. So that's interesting. Grok 4 beats Grok 5 as top vending bench model with 2 times more sales volume. So there's this test that they use with large language models. It's a vending machine game to where they give the model a business and it has to generate it has to maximize sales given its resources. That's what this is referring to. Beats the top vending bench model with 2 times more sales volume and 31% higher revenue generation. Out earns OpenAI GPT-5 by over $1,100, dominates across profitability, stability, and volume, maintains sales momentum longer than most competitors. Grok 4 by XAI is the undisputed market over long time horizon. I have seen very good results from Grok 4 in programming. Grok just improved again. Download the latest version of the app. All right. I don't know what this is. Nice. I think this is it might be available in the iOS app. I don't use iPhones. We use Android. I think this is an iOS thing. I think they have a girl avatar and a guy avatar that's kind of like Grok, but it's animated. It's called Annie. Annie now has new outfits, so you can like choose this avatar. It's artificial. What did he call it? I can't remember what it's called. Because the humans behave like bots on Cringed In. Bots are harder to distinguish on LinkedIn than X, not because they are better. Turn any image into... So this is kind of cool. This kind of thing. An old picture of Charlie Chaplin revived by Grok, imagine. Seen a lot of these really cool old-time photographs animated. Some of them are really cool. This one's kind of neat. Reminds me of BioShock. More animated videos. Delete LinkedIn. LinkedIn has become a cesspool. You didn't hear that from me. It will change the look of the roads. Robotaxi. All right, I think we're getting here to the end. I keep getting comments about how this is a waste of taxpayer money. Starship development is privately funded through Starlink subscriptions. Oh, correct. Total revenue that SpaceX will receive from NASA this year is about $1 billion out of $15 billion total, so about 7%. Moreover, NASA is paying SpaceX for astronaut and cargo transport to the space station, launching research satellites and some work for returning to the moon. All of these contracts were won in competitive bids, so the government would either be paying a lot more, or in some cases, such as astronaut transport, have no other means of safely getting the job done. There are zero handouts. Zero. All right. So nothing earth shattering here, just more AI stuff. You kind of got a glimpse into the future of what AI looks like with the content generated on demand. So we have that. All right. Do we have any? We're at time. What do you guys think? More is it better to go through the timeline together and look at things? You did kind of get more context, especially with Elon Musk. Me being an engineer, I can explain some of the things that he says that you might not know naturally by reading. But there you go. All righty. So tomorrow we'll probably be on early. Can't go on late tomorrow, so we'll probably be on early, 5:00 or so. I kind of want to read about the seven churches. Got a lot to say about them. Specifically, it's interesting because we can learn a lot. I did promise you I would show you something that was very curious. Check this out about the two witnesses. All right, bear with me as I read this. Oh, wait, let's start in Revelation 1 because you got to understand the context. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants, things which must shortly take place. And he sent and signified it by his angel to his servant John, who bore witness to the word of God and to the testimony of Jesus Christ, to all things that he saw. Blessed is he who reads and those who hear the words of this prophecy and keep those things which are written in it, for the time is near. John, to the seven churches which are in Asia. Okay, so John is writing this book, right? So when you see the word I think it's supposed to be John. So in Revelation 11 here, when it says, then I was given a reed like a measuring rod, I think that's John, right? Because he's the one writing this book from his perspective, the things that he saw. Then I, John, was given a reed like a measuring rod, and the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of God, the altar, and those who worship there. But leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles. And they will tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months. And this is where it starts to get questionable here. I will give power, or I will give to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. Does this I mean John? And I, John, will give to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. I don't think it does. Same thing with Revelation, or with verse 1. Then I was given a reed like a measuring rod. I have always assumed that this was John, that the angel gave John the measuring rod to measure the temple. But why would it be I will give to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days? Two witnesses to John? That doesn't make sense. However, if we go back here to Zechariah 4, this is who builds the temple. This is the word of the Lord to Zerubbabel, not by power, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord. Who are you, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel? You shall become a plain, and he shall bring forth the capstone with shouts of grace, grace to it. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this temple. His hands shall also finish it. See, I think this is a prophecy of the Messiah. The Messiah And this is why I fight so hard for us to recognize that the temple isn't in stone anymore. We are the temple, like it says in 1 Corinthians 3:16. We'll end there. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this temple. His hands shall also finish it. Then you will know that the Lord of hosts has sent me to you. For who has despised the day of small things? See, here's that thing again. Then you will know the Lord. See, it's like we're witnesses to these events happening. This is why we watch. This is why it's important to know the 1,260 days. This is why it's important to pay attention to the anchor points, such as the head wound. Then you will know that the Lord of hosts has sent me to you. For who has despised the day of small things? For these 7 rejoice to see the plumb line in the hand of Zerubbabel. They are the eyes of the Lord which scan to and fro through the earth. Then I answered and said to him, what are these 2 olive trees at the right of the lampstand and at its left? And I further answered and said to him, what are these 2 olive trees that drip into the receptacles of the 2 golden pipes from which the golden oil drains? Then he answered me and said, do you not know what these are? And I said, no, my Lord. He said, these are the 2 anointed ones who stand beside the Lord of the whole earth. So I think the way this should be read, and I could be wrong, is because it says the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants things which must shortly take place. And he sent and signified it by his angel to his servant John. I think the I in here is Jesus. Then Jesus was given a reed like a measuring rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God. Because back in Zechariah, Zerubbabel is the one who lays the foundation, who puts the capstone on it, and has the plumb line in his hand. A plumb line is used for measuring. And they will tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months, and I will give to my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days. This could also be pointing to those 2 churches, because they are the ones, and you could even argue that the Jews aren't included in that because they're not really testifying to Jesus specifically. They are, however, proclaiming like crazy that the Messiah is coming. So there is that. So I do think that the Jews are Smyrna because they're definitely the group under crushing pressure. Philadelphia is the church of brotherly love. And a lot of people felt activated very recently. By recently, I mean like last 7 to 10 years. Anyway, there you go. I wanted to leave you with that. I told you that I had something kind of interesting that I was thinking about. Who is the I? I mean, I just assumed that it was, God's 2 witnesses or the Messiah's 2 witnesses. It seems to be the Messiah's 2 witnesses. And I really think that it kind of correlates with that Zechariah 4 and even John 14 that we read tonight, John 14:29, about I told you these things beforehand so that you will believe. Well, here we are. We're witnessing these things that he told us about. All right, you guys. That's our show. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. We're going to look into those 7 churches. God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom.